Hey guys, welcome to the Royal Enfield Scram 411. Now in today's video I'm going to see what it's all about. Is it just a Himalayan without the fairing at the front? Is it better than the Himalayan? Could it take the Himalayan out? And basically, what are the differences to the Himalayan? What's the Scram really about? Is it its own motorcycle? Is it worth buying instead of the Himalayan? Stay tuned, let's take her for a ride. Scram 411 coming in at £4,599, so £100 less than the Himalayan. Is it worth £100 less, or is it potentially better than the Himalayan? I'm very interested to find out. There are some small differences, so I'll go over a few of the differences now compared to the Himalayan, and then we'll take her for a ride and see what she's like to ride. Straight off the bat, it's exactly the same engine. It's the 411cc single air-cooled engine with 24 brake horsepower and 32 newton meters of torque. So it's not a powerful bike. If you're expecting a powerful bike, I'm afraid this isn't it, but it does have its own characteristics and charm to it, definitely like the Himalayan has. I'll run you over a few of the differences now. Okay, difference number one, the Scram has 10mm less travel on the front fork, so it has 190mm travel, whereas the Himalayan has 200mm travel. Again on the front, suggesting that the Scram 411 is more slightly geared towards an urban environment and street riding. The front tyre is 19-inch, whereas the Himalayan has a 21-inch front tyre, which is more off-road biased. So this could benefit the Scram for on-road riding, slightly more feel at the front end, more connected with the road. Difference number three, seat height. So the Scram has a 795mm seat height, whereas the Himalayan is 800mm. 5mm lower seat height on the Scram, so again, potentially easier to handle, manoeuvre around if you're a bit shorter, and for street riding as well. Difference number four, ground clearance. 200mm on the Scram 411, 220 on the Himalayan. Again, suggesting the Himalayan more aimed towards off-road riding, with that more ground clearance to take on the bumps, logs, whatever you can find off-road, just to clear over them. Also a very small difference in dimensions to the Himalayan as well. The Scram has a 10mm shorter wheelbase as well, so slightly more nimble for on-road riding, again suggesting she's going to be slightly more agile and potentially better for riding on the road in the urban environment. Just before we jump on and go for a ride, a massive thank you to Hayball Motorcycles in Salisbury for lending me their demo for today. Nicely spec demo actually. There's one extra on this bike which you may have heard already, which is quite a nice feature to the Scram. But yeah, thank you very much Hayball Motorcycles for lending me this demo. If you're interested guys, Royal Enfield, check out Hayball if you're around the Salisbury area. Very helpful. And of course guys, bar the obvious differences, the looks, so the lack of the sort of fly screen at the front, you know, get added wind protection, etc. You don't get the racks up front for bags or fuel or water, whatever you want to put on for adventures. So this is very much more aimed at, I think, a slightly younger audience and for road riding. All of the differences suggest that anyway. Just look at the paintwork. Whether you're a fan or not, down to you. When it first came out, if I'm being honest, I thought, oh, I don't know, it's a little bit bright for Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield, to me, generally more classic. It seems like they've tried to be a bit more modern with this. It's up to you, it is growing on me. I wasn't too much of a fan at first, but I will say it is growing on me. Now, here's the party piece that Hayball Motorcycles have fitted on this Scram, which actually they say adds a little bit of performance to the bike as well, so they always suggest fitting it to the Royal Enfields, is the end can. It's got a really nice, deep, thrubby sort of noise to it. It's not a big engine, so it's not a crazy noise sound. It's actually very nice, popping away. And if you've ever ridden a bike with a nice end can on, you know how much character it adds to the bike. which to this single engine it really does. You just, wow, just listen to it. It just adds so much more fun to a motorbike having an exhaust like that. Highly recommend it. So first initial impressions, obviously it is very similar to the Scram as we've just gone over, but those small differences, they do definitely make a difference. Let's start off with the engine. So the engine exactly the same, no differences, but I have to say I think Hayball are right. That exhaust, which I believe is an option from Royal Enfield, it's got the baffle out so it sounds even nicer. The bike does feel freer. It feels like it can rev a bit more. I highly recommend that with these motors. It feels a little bit quicker than the last Himalayan I rode, which had the standard exhaust. So yeah, go for the exhaust. Have those little differences made a difference? Are they worth it for the street? Yes, in one word. This feels much more planted and confidence inspiring on the street through the corners. So the front tyre is actually 10mm thicker than on the Himalayan as well, and it's a 19-inch, so you do have that added connection to the road and you can feel it, no doubt. It definitely feels more nimble. So as with on the Himalayan, the switch gear is identical, very simple, analog speedometer, and in the middle you've got your gear indicator, time, audio, etc. And on the right comes with a fitted turn-by-turn navigation unit there, which is a nice touch. You can connect up to your phone. Yeah, that handling, you're much more connected to the road, 100%, and I think all those small changes have paid off. That's what Royal Enfield have aimed for. It's more focused on the road, this. So another difference they actually made for the Scram is the seat. The seat on the Himalayan is a little bit thin and can get uncomfortable after a few hours, I found, which is not ideal for the Himalayan because it is meant to be an adventure bike, so you're meant to do long miles on it. So what they've done, you can notice it on the Scram, the gelled seat. They've added some extra cushioning and done some research, I don't know exactly, but made the seat a fair bit more comfy, and you can notice it. It's a really comfortable seat. So what's the Scram built for then? If the Himalayans, I mean, obviously more of an adventure, sort of for going touring on adventures, etc. It's so good with that exhaust. You got to get that exhaust. The Scram, I think, is great for these types of roads. Little back lanes, country lanes. It's great fun. Obviously it's not fast, however it's brilliant fun. You've got the character from the exhaust and you can just crack on the throttle and just play with it. With the added benefit of the better handling, I think it's ideal on these twisties just to take out and just sort of blast around, have pure fun on these back country lanes wherever you live. It soaks up the bumps really well and you can just play with it. This is full throttle now, 60 miles an hour. Don't need to be going any quicker than that, to be honest, and with it you're quite sort of high up, so you've actually got a great view around the corners. You can have a blast on country lanes. So, just a quick one. I've got to be honest, coming into this review, I was a little bit skeptical. I'm not a massive fan of the looks. Looks are really personal, completely depends what you're after, but yeah, I prefer the adventure, more classic style looks of the Himalayan. So up front, brakes wise, we have a single 300mm disc with a 2-piston floating caliper. And on the rear, you have a single 240mm disc with a single piston floating caliper. So guys, weight 185 kilograms dry weight. So wet weight near enough, roughly about 200 kilograms, excuse me. Very similar to the Himalayan. Relatively, actually, that's a fairly light motorcycle for a taller sided scrambler, you know, 16-inch front wheel. I think that's a fairly light bike, and that really helps out on the roads, on the twisties. It is actually a great feature. I was thinking about the Triumph Scrambler 1200, comparing this, The Triumph's great, however this is a lot lighter and it's just so much fun to play with on the road, and when the road gets bumpy or in the winter now, gravelly, muddy, it's great to have a lighter bike along with the sort of half knobbly off-roady tyres. Yeah, it's a really fun proposition this, and I'm going to say it again. That pipe on the end makes it so much nicer. So seat height guys, it is 795mm, as we were saying earlier, it's 10mm lower than the Himalayan. I'm 5'9" with a 32-inch inseam, there or thereabouts. Probably can't see my feet, there they are. They are flat footing on the ground, I can reassure you that. It is taller, that's the style of scramblers, they are taller motorcycles. And you can feel that, but that is an appeal of the scramblers that are great. It makes them, first of all, to be better off-road, but also the riding position, the sort of dominant riding position, being able to look through the corners further from being higher up. Just overall more confidence-inspiring riding position, I find. Yeah, really like the riding position on the Scram 411. So I'm just waiting to pull out of this pub here, but that exhaust, it just, I keep on going on about it, just adds so much character to this bike. And all bikes in general, isn't it? Exhaust is so important, but I would say this single engine, the 411cc from Royal Enfield, it's great for a single motor, but they're not fast, exciting motors. However, with this exhaust on, it just makes it so much more playful and fun to ride. Don't know if you can see just the turn in there, it's yeah, it's really good. So the brakes, being a single disc up front, they're not the strongest in the world, not sharp, not powerful brakes, but I think they're more than adequate. They're all you need. You're never travelling much more than 60 miles an hour. Well, you shouldn't be, because that's the speed limit. Yeah, you don't need much more. I really wouldn't let that put you off. If anything, it saves a bit of weight without an extra disc on, so that's a bonus. The suspension, it's 41mm forks up front, non-adjustable. I don't think you'll find any problems there, to be honest. I'm really surprised by how much I'm enjoying this. It's just, if you want a fun bike in general, just for going around bumpy England's, let's be honest, terrible roads, this thing will just lap them up. And it is fun. It does handle much better than I thought. It's a fair bit better than the Himalayan in handling department. So here's an opportunity to test out the engine. Is this the right way? I was going to overtake that van, but not a chance. So the engine is not ideal for overtaking on faster roads, but that's what you get with a lighter cc motor. So any negatives with the Scram? Well, there's the looks, which are purely subjective. I got to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the looks on the Scram. Like I said, I prefer the Himalayan, but that's subjective. There's one thing which is quite funny. I just pulled over to adjust something on the GoPro. I was watching Mr. Darcy and the Old Man YouTube channel, great channel if you haven't seen that. I was watching his review, the old man's review of the Scram 411, and he was saying how it squashed the prunes. I think it was prunes as he described them as. And it does. I just caught mine on the tank with the seat, and yeah, I don't find it when I'm riding. I just thought that was quite funny when I pulled over there. One to watch out for, because that could yeah, that hurts. So downsides are generally more, if we're comparing it to the Himalayan, just some more long distance. If you want long distance, the Himalayan's going to be better with wind protection, more luggage capacity with the racks up front as well. The handlebars on the Scram 411 are quite thin as well, actually, which I haven't found to be a downside at all. I would have thought I'd miss some counter steering, but not at all. It's great fun and handles well. Now, Royal Enfield have marketed this bike also for the urban environment, so for riding in cities. So for instance, in India, if you've ever been to India, some of their cities can get very busy. The roads can be hectic. There's a lot of traffic and bumpy roads as well. This type of bike, the Scram, would be fantastic for it, for roads like that, and that leads into the thinner handlebars, great for filtering through traffic, etc. See if we can overtake this horse box thing. There we go. It's considerably, not considerably, but it is faster than I remember than the Himalayan. It's not, it's the same engine. It must be the exhaust. just that bit nicer. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. As always, a shout out to mental health awareness. Keep riding your bikes, enjoy your bikes even through the winter. Give it a go. Ride safe, but yeah, still don't tuck your bikes away and miss them. Get out there and use them, it's worth it. Anywho, great bike. Is it better than the sorry, I'm concentrating on where I'm going as well. It's always hard when you're talking. Is it better than the Himalayan? It's different. I think to say it's better is so hard. It's so similar in so many ways. Depends what you want to use it for. If you want to use it for just a fun, possibly a little bit of off-roading, mainly on-road, as a fun bike for country lanes, whether you're in the city, just general fun on and blasting around and just enjoying two wheels. Great bike for it, I really think it is. However, the Himalayan, if you want to do a little bit of touring or some more serious off-roading, pack up a load of luggage, go off on an adventure, then I think the Himalayan's the one for you. But the Scram is definitely worth a test ride. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next review. If you want to check out my review on the Himalayan, I'll put it on the screen just in a couple of seconds now, and I shall see you in the next vid. Ciao Bella.